Pete Gati, BMSN. First port of call is usually Rota, Spain. Second port, Naples, Italy. Which was kind of interesting and I've been to Naples, France, Greece, Lebanon. We went through the Suez Canal, and I could tell you some stories on the Suez Canal. I mean, after we got, I could tell you a story on the Suez Canal. Okay, now I'm on deck, and we're doing some work, and we get to Port Said. Now, in Port Said, we get the pilot for the Suez Canal. Now, he comes over with a rowboat. Now, we hoisted the boat up, put it on deck. He goes up to the bridge. Now, the guy that was rowing the boat, because that's basically what it was, he starts talking to us and he wants sweaters. I said, sweaters? What do you want sweaters for in the middle of the desert? So then he says, I want to buy the sweaters. So I said, what are you going to do with sweaters in the middle of the desert? Well, that night, that temperature dropped down to 30 degrees. Now I know why they wanted sweaters. It got real cold that night. Okay, well, we get through the Suez Canal, and we're steaming on the way, I guess for about 800 miles. And I could tell you some funny stories, what happened. We were going to Aden, Abu Dhabi, Oman, Bahrain, Craig Island, Ras Tanura, and Massawa, which is not too far from Ethiopia. Is an Italian colony, well, it was. But as we're steaming, we're up on the bridge. I was boatswain mate of the watch, and it's quiet up there. And the ship's wheel is solid brass with a wood trim all the way around. So there wasn't too many course changes. And somehow or another, the guy on the wheel was dozing on and off. And the officer hits me, he says, don't tell him nothing. I said, okay. Okay, now, aboard our ship, we have after steering. So there's always somebody in after steering. You could switch from the bridge steering to after steering. So they switched. So then the officer goes over and there's a nut on the wheel. You take the nut off and you could take the wheel off and polish it and put it back on. So the officer, he was a jokester. He goes, right standing rudder. The guy wakes up, turns the wheel, and the wheel comes off in his hand. Now, and we're all laughing. So then the officer says, put that wheel back on. Put the wheel on, put the nut on, and they switched it from after steering back to the bridge. But, hey, the officer was 24, 25 years old. He was the jokester too. Okay, one time on the bridge, there was a torpedoman, third class. He was the talker. Okay, you got the lookouts, you got the lee helm, the helm, me, boatswain mate of the watch. And so the officer walks over to the talker. His white hat, he had headphones on over his white hat. He rolled it, and that's the way they did it. And he was the talker for the bridge. And the officer looked at his hat, and it was frayed. Officer takes his headphones, takes the hat off, and throws it over the side. The TM looks at the officer, snatches his hat, and throws it over the side. Now, the captain comes to the bridge, because he's right there. He's a sea captain that is right behind. And they talk back and forth. Now, the officer wasn't supposed to touch the enlisted man. The enlisted man wasn't supposed to touch the officer. There was no blows thrown, but everything was kept quiet. But that was interesting. We did encounter a Soviet vessel in the Red Sea one time. We I forget, they didn't know our signals, so I think they radioed, and they radioed back. We asked what the cargo was, and they said atomic bombs. So that ended that conversation.